All right, so we're going to talk about taking this next step with our project here. So we've got our schematic, and we're going to turn it into a circuit board. And so this one here, I've done different variations of it, and so we'll take a look at this particular one. And so here, I did this outline of like a little cart. And so for this, I actually imported an outline to use for the edge cuts. And so if we select that layer, there's a board outline. I think it's just the edge cuts, yeah. So the edge cuts layer, I wonder if we could show just that. Show, there you go. So this is our edge cuts layer, right? And this was what I imported. And then I also imported, let's see, on the front silk screen. So I also imported this layer right here. And so I imported this graphic separately, and I imported this outline, and then I use that as kind of like my starting point to build the build the circuit. And so the goal here was to build something that fit within here, and I adjusted the size so that I could get all the stuff in there that I wanted to. The other thing I want to show is that here you can see we have a fill for the bottom layer. And so this is, you can see all that blue is the ground plane. I think, but yeah, and you can see those connections there to the battery. And so this is the ground plane right here. And then you can see there's some signals that have been routed through the ground plane, but for the most part we're able to avoid them. We also have a via right here for some things where I had to switch layers because I was crossing. If we look at the top layer, I was crossing a signal. And so for this one, let's see, this big net here is the what is that net? Let's see, on the top layer. Let's see, this net is connected to, oh, I think this is for the switch. So I think I connected, let's see, is that the switch right here? Oh, the switch, I can see the switch on here. This must be the switch right here. Yeah. So this is the 3 volt going into here. I'm not sure what I was doing with this net. Oh, it's another ground net. Okay. So I did a ground layer on the top as well, which in hindsight I probably should have done the power net at the top here. But anyway, or a power layer. So anyway, I don't recommend doing it this way. I don't know why I did it this way. I probably wasn't thinking very carefully. But anyway, we're gonna delete all this, and I'll show you how to kind of do the same thing. So let's close out of this. Let's go to Preferences, Tools, Update PCB from Schematic. Okay. Oh. Let's see. Update PCB. So it looks like I had copied this, and it looks like some of my footprints are gone. Discard changes. Okay. Okay, so I had made a copy of this project. I didn't copy the footprints. I'd modified over. And so basically, when I had built this, I modified all the footprints to make them easier for hand soldering. And so you can see some of them have a hand solder version where the pins are a little bit bigger and maybe a little more spaced out. And so that's what I had done for the previous one. And so here, like, I would have gone through and spread these pads out a little bit and then made them bigger. So there's more space to solder to, and it makes it easier to avoid like bad connections and shorts and stuff like that. So anyway, that's what had happened there. So let's put this into our circuit board. You can still see I'm missing one. I don't have the switch on there, which is fine for now. You guys have the switch on yours. So here we've got everything, and so kind of the first thing we'll want to do is to decide what our board is going to look like. We'll just do, like a simple rectangle for now. But really, I want to encourage you to have some fun with it. So you don't have to do a rectangle. You can build a shape. If you want to build something a little more complex, you have these kind of like polygon drawing tools. And so you can have like that be your board outline or something. If you want to put like a hole in it, you can. Let's see. So, but right now, I'm just going to delete this one. And we'll use this one. Okay, so the next step is to place things. So like, I'm going to put this on the back, for example. So I can right click on this. And I can, let's see, proper change sides. There you go, or the F key. As I'm moving it, I can also rotate. And then we'll bring these guys over. And so I need to kind of work through these guys and decide where I want them to go. You know, we want to look at where these lines are, and we want to try to minimize those crossing lines. And so like this one kind of pairs with that LED, and this one pairs with that LED, so we'll kind of get those close together. And then really the big thing you want to do is, aside from placing that, we kind of want to decide where these will go, right? And so because we want to know where our LEDs are, and probably the switch you'll place, and then you'll do your routing. Oops. So we got everything over here. If you want to picture it, you can go to View and 3D Viewer, and so you can see what it kind of looks like. I don't know if there's a graphic. Yeah, there's not a graphic for the battery holder, but that's on the back there. And basically, got our transistors, we've got our resistors, our LEDs, and those capacitors. And so let's see if there's other views. We got the 3D viewer, yeah. And so now let's go ahead and do some tracks. So we're on the bottom layer here. And so let's say, well, and I'm going to recommend that don't do the, we'll hide that for now. So there's all that like random text that's kind of in the way. We'll get rid of that. Makes it easier to look at stuff. So I'm going to say don't route the power, like the plus bat, or maybe don't route the 3.3 volt, and don't route the ground plane, because we'll do pores for those. And so we got that ground. So yeah, anyway, it's not perfect, but let's say we want to do some routing. Let's choose the wire tool. And for the wire, I use the letter X to grab it. So press X. I'm on the bottom layer right now. If I want to switch to the top, I can go like that. If I want to switch this to the top, I probably select it. And I can set the layer maybe. Oh, yep, I can flip it to the top. So not really a good way to flip it. If you start drawing it and you decide, oh, you know what, I'm supposed to be on the top, you're gonna have to stop it. Go like that. Jump to the top layer and try again. Okay. And now let's say, oh, I need to route this one, but see, I can't because it's crossing. I can get creative and I can pull it around this way. Or if you decide I really just need to cross this one, I can do a via right there using the letter V. I'm going to jump to the bottom layer, press the letter X. Start drawing. And then do another via right there if I want to jump it back to the top. So since we are using the top and the bottom layer for signals as well, or not for signals, for power planes, we want to be careful not to have lots of stuff on the bottom layer. And we want to be careful also that for things that need power, that we have a way for it to get to them. And so let's go ahead and draw those real quick. Where is my, so we're going to do add a filled zone. So I'm just going to do, for the top layer, I'm going to do 3 point, let's go VBAT first, okay? And then you'll have a switch somewhere. And so I'm going to start it like right here. And it's going to go around these. And let's say my switch was like right here. something like that. And I can move it if I need to. I want to move it to like encompass like where my switch is, so I can grab that, and that will be like the power plane coming from plus bat. And then once that's done, I want a separate power plane for basically, which will just be everything else. So I'm going to draw another filled zone, and this will be 3 volts. Okay, and it'll just be everything else. Okay, and I can say zones, fill all zones. Okay, let's see how we did. I don't know if that worked. Let's see. Which one is supposed to connect it? It's ground. Here you go. We got the 3 volts there. We got the, oh, you know what? Here, we're gonna, one of the issues was these are on the bottom, and so they can't connect to the top. And so let's go ahead and we're going to zones, unfill all zones. Okay, so in order to connect these to the top, we have to route them. So we go X, and put a V right there. I'm going to come out a little bit, and then maybe want to do a couple. So we can get that running up to the top. There you go. Okay, so now let's try again. Let's go ahead and fill all the zones. And did it work? Let's see, no, so it just did the one. So we might have to do them one at a time. So I'm gonna do this one first. Zones. And now we'll fill this one. Yeah, so anyway, we're having some trouble here, so probably what we want to do is not have them overlap. We go like that instead. Let's see if that works better. It could be that I don't have anything connected to that net, but now we got, yep, this one is, let's see if we can see the properties. This one's on VBAT, and this one is on 3 volts. Okay, now we'll jump to the bottom layer, and really this is going to be your last step. We'll go ground. Okay. And then we're going to fill all zones. And now we have on our top layer, so I need to deselect this. So on the top layer, we got our battery net and we got our 3 volt net. And then on the bottom, we've got our ground net. And you can see that's connected to anything that has ground. And so before you do this, though, you'd want to route any of these other signals. And so if you weren't done yet, you could kind of right click on this and you could say unfill all zones, and then you could draw those nets that you need to connect. So and then if there's any issues with the way that you've done your routing, you might have regions where this gets cut off, and then you'll have to be a little bit creative how to reconnect it in such a way that you don't like prevent this from getting cut off. And so if you get stuck with something like that, I can help you sort it out. But really the first step comes to just doing a good job with the layout of the components, which we haven't really done here. Like things like that. You need to uncross those lines. It would be worth moving maybe like this one and this one. And which are those? So yeah, those are all on 3 volts, so let's see. So this one and maybe like this one. Over to here. that to kind of reduce some of these lines. So if it's a ground one, we don't worry so much about it, but get these ones nice and close to each other, like that. We're actually not in too bad a shape. Maybe you want to move this one so it's up by that LED. And this one next to that one. And so now we might need to add to here. I wonder if we could add yeah, I don't know, it might be worth that. So you might want to draw like another region for that zone potentially. Let's see if there's anything else here. Might have wanted to move those guys before we started putting those, but anyway, once you're done, there should be no blue lines, and you should be able to run the design rules checker. And if you've done everything right, there will be no errors. Okay, you might get some warnings, but like for these ones, like for example, like silk screen overlap, you don't necessarily care about that unless you want to see those things. So we can kind of ignore those unless you care about those ones. But here you could see these errors are due to clearance and or looks like right here, some clearance issues there. Net class, interesting. And then we have a bunch of unconnected items. Okay, this one might just be, I don't know if it's got some kind of mismatch on the default settings, because it looks like we don't have any clearance issues. Ground for Q1. Oh, I think it's, I'm not sure. It must be these. No, I don't think so. I'm not sure. I'd have to take a look at that. But anyway, these errors, we might want to go back and change some of the settings for our design rules check. But this one specifically is the one that we're looking at here. It's saying where all these things are not connected. Okay, so we want to clear those ones out. Anyway, I kind of jumped around here a little bit. Hopefully that was helpful, and I look forward to seeing your designs.